Right then, match day again. And yeah, I know, the buzz is nowhere near what it used to be. You can feel it, I can feel it, and judging by the ticket sales, most of the Celtic fan base can feel it too. Tonight it's Celtic v Sturm Graz in the Europa League. And let's be honest, this isn't one of those European nights at Parkhead where you expect fireworks. In fact, for a lot of folk, it feels more like an obligation than an opportunity. But here we are, and as always, the hope is that something clicks, something changes, and we get a proper performance. One that feels like the Celtic we used to know. But that's becoming a rarer thing, isn't it? Brendan Rodgers is back in the spotlight, not just for the team's performances, but also for his words, especially the ones from Dens Park after that miserable defeat. You've probably heard it by now, the whole Honda Civic and Ferrari comparison. Basically saying he's trying to drive a Ferrari-style football with a Honda Civic squad. And while Brendan insists it's all about the pace and quality of the current team compared to last season, you can't help but hear the frustration buried in that metaphor. Whether he meant it as a jab at the players or the recruitment, or both, it landed heavily. And you better believe it's been picked apart by the fans, the pundits, and probably the players themselves. Rodgers, though, doesn't seem fazed. Says he stands by his words and isn't concerned about how the squad will take it. But even if he's calm on the surface, there's a tension underneath. His press conferences lately have been full of contradictions. He says he's not dwelling on the past, not complaining about the squad he inherited, but every other sentence feels like a reminder that the tools just aren't there. There's a gap between what he wants and what he's got. And worse, there's no clear sign that he's willing to shake things up. Whether it's sticking with underperforming players or refusing to try new formations, it's that sense of stubbornness that's really starting to grate. To be fair, he did say he'd continue to experiment, even hinted that we might see some changes tonight. But then came the caveat. He wants to maintain stability. That word again. Stability. Sounds good on paper, but right now, it feels like code for sticking with the same old. Same underwhelming midfield, same lack of tempo, same players playing like their heads are elsewhere. And when he talks about that spine of the team, guys like Schmeichel, McGregor, Carter-Vickers, Hatate, you start to wonder if any of them are truly untouchable or just too familiar to drop. Because let's be honest, none of them have been at their best. Far from it. And if you're serious about shaking up the squad, about really changing something, surely that starts with holding those senior players accountable. Rodgers insists they've had the meetings, watched the clips, gone over the basics. Effort. Running. Competing. He even mentioned winning headers. And when you're bringing up headers in a pre-match press conference, you know the standards have dropped. The bar is so low right now that we're looking for signs of effort rather than glimpses of quality. That's where we are. And it's not just one bad performance. This has been weeks, even months, of inconsistency, of fading after strong starts, of switching off after 10 minutes of intensity. That kind of mentality won't cut it in Europe, and it's definitely not what Celtic fans signed up for. There was one moment in the press conference, though, that stood out. A Scottish journalist hit Rodgers with the word scunnered, and if you're not from Scotland, that basically means being utterly fed up. It was bold, no doubt about it, but also very accurate. It's how most fans are feeling right now. Scunnered with the football, scunnered with the lack of urgency, scunnered with the same excuses rolling out every week. Rodgers responded with a smile and said he's never been more motivated as Celtic manager. Maybe he is. Maybe that's true. But motivation only gets you so far. It's what you do with it that matters. Because here's the real issue. Even if Brendan is up for the fight, the players don't look like they are. You've got guys out there who wanted to leave in the summer. Jon, Maeda, and probably a few others who were expecting a move that didn't materialize. Now they're still here, heads down, performances flat, looking like they're just waiting for January. That's a dangerous place to be. And Rodgers, for all his talk of commitment and intensity, needs to make a decision. If you've got players who don't want to be at the club, who can't find the motivation to play for that shirt, then they shouldn't be in the starting lineup. Simple as that. Take Daizen Maeda, for example. Not available for tonight. Initially, we were told it was a tight foot, then it was his leg. Now Rodgers says it's stiffness in his back and hamstrings. No timeline for return. Just a vague, we'll see how he is for the weekend. It's the kind of update that leaves more questions than answers. You don't want to jump to conclusions, but with everything we've heard about Maeda's desire to move on and the strange progression of his so-called injury, You start to wonder if we've already seen his last game in a Celtic shirt. It's all speculation, sure. But when communication is this murky, the speculation starts to feel justified. On the injury front more broadly, Alistair Johnston might be available, though probably not starting. Bernardo is back after missing the weekend with a bug. And for anyone hoping to see some of the new names, guys like Shun Yamada or Hayato Omura, forget it. They're not registered for the Europa League squad. They won't feature. So if changes are coming tonight, they'll need to come from within the usual suspects. Which again makes you question just how different this lineup can really be. Now, let's talk about the crowd. Or maybe the lack of one. Yes, tickets have been sold, but that doesn't guarantee bums and seats. Not when the football has been this uninspiring. It's a midweek match, in the cold, with a team that's not exactly fun to watch right now. You've got people who've paid for a 4-game package who might not even bother showing up. That's the level of disconnection we're seeing. And you can't really blame them. If you're at home and you see the lineup drop an hour before kickoff and it's the same uninspiring selection, you might just reach for the remote instead. Traders is on. Netflix is full of options. It's harsh, but true. That being said, there is still a chance. And it's a small one, but it's there. If Celtic start the match well, and I mean properly well, pressing, moving, looking like they actually care, the fans will respond. Parkhead can still come alive. Even with all the frustration and disappointment, Celtic supporters want to believe. They want to feel something again. An early goal, a bit of tempo, a moment of magic, that could flip the switch. Because despite everything, there's still a core of this fan base desperate for a reason to get behind the team again. Over in Austria, the mood's a bit different. Their media is talking up Celtic, believe it or not. They see the history, the titles, the aura of Parkhead, and they're giving us a level of respect that our own team hasn't been earning recently. They're highlighting players like Otar Kadiashvili, a real talent for Sturm Graz, but they're also pointing out our strengths, even if some of them won't be. Playing tonight, there's still a bit of fear there, still a sense that Celtic should be the better team. And that's interesting, because from our side, it feels like we're just waiting for another letdown. Even their goalkeeper situation tonight should be an advantage. Sturm Graz are down to their third-choice keeper, a young lad named Matteo Bignetti, just 21 years old. Their main man is out injured, and the backup is unavailable, so this guy steps in. In any normal scenario, you'd be licking your lips. Test him early, make him nervous, shake his confidence. But does anyone believe we'll do that? Based on recent form, it's hard to imagine us getting even a couple of shots on target, let alone really making him work. But it's a window, a chance. One more reason to go at them from the first whistle. The Austrian players are talking up the atmosphere too. Amir Carrick, their fullback, mentioned how much he's looking forward to Celtic Park. His uncle, apparently, is a massive Celtic fan. And that sort of thing used to matter. Players used to fear playing here. That energy, that noise. But it only exists if the team on the pitch gives the crowd something to get behind. Right now, that connection is frayed. The club needs to fix it. It's funny, because not that long ago, a home European night under the lights would have felt like a guaranteed big occasion. But now, you walk into Celtic Park and there's a cloud hanging over it. Not just from the results, but from this creeping sense of identity loss. People don't really know what this team stands for anymore. Under Ange, for all the flaws we had in Europe, there was a clear idea, a boldness. Even when it didn't work, you could see what we were trying to do. Now, it feels like we're trying to be careful, structured, safe, and none of it suits us. That's the worst part. We've become a team without personality. It bleeds into every aspect. The attack is flat. The midfield looks scared to take risks, and defensively we're shaky even when not under pressure. That used to be the minimum standard, being solid, being brave, and now it feels like we've regressed. There's no rhythm, no fluidity. Players who once looked confident now look like they're carrying the weight of the world every time they touch the ball. Even McGregor, who's always been the heartbeat of this side, looks like he's stuck in second gear. You can see him trying to drive the team forward, but with nobody around him moving or giving options, it just fizzles out. And then you've got the attacking third, a real problem area. We're crying out for someone to just take the game by the scruff of the neck. Someone to run at defenders, make things happen, force a mistake. But instead we get sideways passes, heavy touches, and players waiting for someone else to spark it. That sense of responsibility, that edge, it's just not there. And when you combine that with a striker who's low on confidence, wingers who don't want to be here, and midfielders afraid to take a risk, you get exactly what we've been watching: predictable, uninspired football. What makes it worse is that the opposition tonight isn't even one of the big hitters in Europe. Sturm Graz are solid, no doubt about it, top of their league, compact, disciplined, but they're not elite. They're not even close. They've got a third-choice keeper playing, and even then, we're approaching this like we're underdogs. That tells you everything about where we're at mentally. We're talking ourselves into accepting mediocrity, and that's the biggest worry of all. When standards drop and you don't feel the urgency to raise them, you're in trouble. You can hear that tension in Brendan's words too. He keeps trying to frame it as a process, a rebuild, a team in transition. And maybe he's right, maybe it is. But it's hard to sell that message when you're not seeing progress on the pitch. Fans are patient when they see direction. But what direction are we heading in right now? What's the goal? Are we building towards something new or just patching up what's broken? Because right now it feels more like damage control than development. You also get the sense Rodgers is a bit stuck. Stuck between the squad he has and the football he wants to play. Stuck between trying to protect his experienced players and knowing deep down that some of them are holding us back. That's not an easy place to be, but it's the job. And when you're in that dugout at Celtic Park, especially on a European night, the expectations don't change just because the circumstances are tough. You either rise to the occasion or it swallows you. The biggest danger now is apathy. Not anger, not frustration, apathy. That's what sets in when people stop believing anything will change. You saw it on Sunday. The away end wasn't just furious, it was tired. Tired of excuses, tired of watching the same patterns repeat. You can shout and rage at a team that's failing but trying. But when it looks like they've accepted being average, that's when the crowd checks out. That's when people stop showing up. That's when the club loses its soul. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. There's a growing buzz around the Scottish football scene this week, and it's all centered on one name: Kevin Nisbet. Fresh off his surprising departure from Aberdeen, whispers across Glasgow suggest the striker could be on the verge of leading the line for Celtic. Sources close to the player have hinted that talks between Nisbet's representatives and Celtic Park have been constructive, though neither side is willing to go on record just yet. The timing has only fueled speculation, with Celtic reportedly eager to bolster their attacking options ahead of a demanding domestic and European campaign. Nisbet's move from Hibs to Millwall in 2023 seemed to mark a turning point in his career, but his brief stint at Aberdeen reignited that sharp edge in front of goal. Known for his work rate and natural finishing, the 28-year-old Fifer could be the missing link in Brendan Rodgers' front line, particularly as doubts linger over the long-term fitness of some current forwards. What's catching attention isn't just the potential transfer itself, but how quietly it's been handled. Aberdeen fans were left scratching their heads when Nisbet's exit was announced with minimal fanfare, and insiders now claim it was part of a gentleman's agreement, paving the way for a bigger move. Around Celtic Park, the talk is that Nisbet has already been spotted in Glasgow's West End, adding fuel to the already roaring fire of speculation. One supporter outside Parkhead summed it up: "If he's in town, he's not here for the weather, is he?" Of course, until the ink's dry on any contract, this remains just that, a rumor. But the sense of inevitability is hard to ignore. Nisbet, once touted as the future of Scottish striking talent, might just be about to get his biggest stage yet. Should the deal go through, it would be a bold statement from Celtic, bringing in a proven Scottish goalscorer with a point to prove and a hunger to deliver. And if the murmurs around Glasgow are anything to go by, this could be the start of a new chapter both for the player and the champions. For now, the Parkhead faithful wait, impatiently, perhaps, for official word. But one thing's certain: Kevin Nisbet's next move has set tongues wagging from pitigree to paradise. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.